Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
Welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm Marlene Cuellar.
And I'm Isana Kayatano.
And thank you for joining us this morning. And of course, Isana, the first order for today is checking in on our weather. And we have forecaster Michael Gentle on the line. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm doing okay.
All right. So let's talk about the weather. It looks a bit gloomy outside in Belize City.
Probably have a bit of low clouds around.
Okay.
However, we expect general fair conditions will continue for today. We can expect a slight increase in moisture for tomorrow, though.
Uh-oh. Okay. All right. So let's start off with today. You said it's going to be sunny?
It'll be mostly sunny today and partly cloudy tonight. Showers, if any, will be isolated.
And the winds?
The winds will be from the east and southeast at 5 to 15 knots. This will produce light chop sea conditions.
Okay. And what about our high temperatures for today?
Okay, we're expecting 84 along the coast, 88 inland, and 78 in the hills. For tonight, 78 along the coast, 72 over inland areas, 68 in the high elevations.
All right. We're feeling that warming up in the temperatures for sure.
Yeah, with the southeasterly that developed a couple of days ago.
Yeah. And so you said tomorrow we'll be expecting some showers. What's the extended forecast?
Okay, the extended forecast hinges on a cold front coming down to near Yucatan and causing our winds to become northeasterly tomorrow.
Okay.
And just a slight increase in moisture, so we can expect some cloudy spells tomorrow and a few showers or an isolated thunderstorm developing.
And the cold front is going to stop on the at Yucatan, or it'll come down to us?
No, this one won't make a passage across the country. We'll probably get another front later on in the new year.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you very much for that update.
Okay, you're welcome.
You have a great day.
Same to you.
Okay.
So the cold front is going to miss Belize altogether.
Bring us rains, but no cold.
That sucks.
Such a tease for the end of the year. Isani, it's the last Monday of 2019.
It is indeed the last Monday of 2019, and so there's a lot of reflection taking place in terms of, you know, things that we've done, things that we're yet to do, and putting into personal context what these events and what the people who are impacted by these events mean to us.
Wow.
And so I'm kind of in a pensive state going into 2020.
Sounds like you had some time for reflection over the weekend.
Yeah, actually this weekend has been quite an enlightening one for me. I'll just use the opportunity quickly to thank the people of Punta Gorda, the friends and family who were gathered for the funeral on Saturday morning, for the accommodation and the openness with which we were met in terms of
you buried
our time
one of your
bereavement.
friends this weekend.
So I just wanted to share my heartfelt appreciation with my friends and my family members down in Punta Gorda. But the occasion allowed me to really be able to think in terms of the role and the impact that people in our lives have on us. And so, like I said, going into the new year, I'm not really a resolution person, but in terms of looking ahead, I try to put certain things into place mentally so that I'm able to fully understand and appreciate, you know, those mental placements, if I may.
Yeah. Right? I think a lot of people are going to be kind of rehashing what this year has
Yeah.
been for them. And, you know, we can always look at the challenges that we've had. We can look at some of the highlights, whatever it is. But, you know, I know a lot of people, or there are some people who think that resolutions don't make sense, or kind of the big hullabaloo that we make at the end of the year.
Yeah.
But, you know, to each their own, one. And secondly, I think that there's nothing wrong, whether you do it January 1st,
Yeah.
whether you do it on the eve of your birthday or on any other important day for you. It is, I don't think it's a bad practice to take that moment to reflect.
Yeah.
And so the end, if you don't normally have that practice, the end of year forces you to do that. There's just something about starting afresh on
Yeah.
January 1st. And I mean, time is a construct that we create, so really it's just another day. But there's something about it that gives us that moment. And I know collectively we don't take that time enough.
Yeah.
So,
Like I said, I mean, some of us
yeah,
plan, some of us set goals,
yeah,
some of us choose to live in the moment,
yeah,
and some of us try to find a balance somewhere in between.
Yeah.
I think that's where I fall. I mean, I do have like long-term goals and stuff that I look forward to.
yeah.
But in terms of the day-to-day, for me, I prefer relish in the moment. And
Yeah.
that's, you know, that's what works for me.
Yeah. Well, of course, we are all gearing up towards the end of year celebration. But before we do, it is a Monday morning, last Monday of 2019, and we're going to check in on some of the big stories from, oh no, it's time for our eye opener. Sorry. All right, so it's time for some motivation this morning. And our motivation is taken from dailyom.com, and it goes like this. We all need to encourage ourselves to look deeply into all things in our lives to see the inherent goodness of everything. Sometimes we find it difficult to see the good in people, places, or situations that aren't to our liking. We focus on the things we don't like in our lives as a way of fueling our efforts to create change. There is nothing inherently wrong with this, and it is one way we make progress. However, if we get too caught up in this way of looking at the world, we lose touch with our ability to sit back and simply say yes to everything on our plates, which is the true starting point for all successful activity. In our active, goal-oriented culture, we learn to distrust stillness and to engage in busy work on the surface of life. This tendency can blind us to the good that lies at the heart of all things. But all we have to do to see again is stop for a moment, let go of our preconceptions and our agendas, and settle into the very center of our hearts, remembering that it is only from here that we can truly see.
So we started
We
off-
cheated.
Yeah, I know, I was just about to say. The good thing though, we started off our chit chat earlier about reflections.
Yeah.
And this eye opener for me speaks to introspection,
Yeah.
right? Being able to look inward and look
Yeah.
within to be able to find that place where we can now create change from.
Yeah.
And it also speaks to me to the notion of looking at things either like the proverbial glass as either half full or half empty, right? And so while some of us look at it as half empty and use that as a motivation to make things happen, and as the eye opener said, there's nothing inherently wrong with that. That's just the way we're wired or we're trained to think.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you're an optimistic person and you look at it as half full,
Yeah.
and you're able to take that and apply it to being able to look inward, like to find either a mental or an emotional place
Yeah.
where you can say, you know what, these are the things that I need to do now going forward.
Yeah.
And that kind of introspection, I think, helps on a personal level because oftentimes we're looking outward and we don't really take the time, or we seldom take the time to really look inward and put ourselves into a certain context. And I use the word context loosely, but to put ourselves in a certain time and place that allows us then to be able to make progress from there.
Yeah, yeah. It's a shift in the mindset that
Yeah.
really has to take place. And it's easier to say it than to do it. And I was thinking about that when we were talking about this just a bit earlier. You know, you just spoke of losing a friend, and this is always a difficult time for people to lose loved ones. And when you are closing off a year where there's been pain or loss or challenges that you've never encountered before, it's kind of hard to see the good from it as it comes to an end. You're really just saying, like, good riddance, get away from me, I need a better year next year. And that's fine, we're all going to say that to some extent. But I think taking the time to look at it with a different mindset gives you an opportunity to be more optimistic in the year ahead. You know, even in loss, there are lessons learned. Whether sudden or whether you knew somebody was going to pass, whether you lost your job, whether you were struggling in any way in 2019, there are opportunities that come from it, and opportunities that only can come from the void that has been created. And I think that, you know, clearly, if you're in that situation, it's the hardest way to see it. But if you allow yourself the chance to find, I always say this on the show, if you can't find the silver lining, find that single silver thread, because there is some good that will come from it, and it puts you in a better position moving forward. And so, you know, I think, as we said, the end of the year comes near. We're all waking up thinking about, you know, the past, and also hopeful about the future. Try to find one thing good about this year, especially if it was a challenging one for you, and use that as your starting point for the next year that we're going into. So that's the motivation for this morning. And now it's time for us to check in on the news, and we're going to shift gears to the Eye on the News.
All right, so I'll take the opportunity for the Eye on News segment this morning to do a couple of things. Primarily to, again, since we're in the reflection mode, to look back on some of the major events that happened throughout the course of 2019 that we in the newsroom provided ample coverage on. And I know that it also kind of serves to remind folks at home, those who haven't been able to catch the year in review that we annually have, that comes on again tomorrow night at 8 o'clock. But to be able to sort of delve into some of the stories that were covered over the past 365 years. I'll cheat and say 365 days, sorry, I'll cheat and add 2 more, right? But, so one of the most important developments this year, Marlene, had to do with the historic ICJ vote. And I know that from the beginning of the year, there has been widespread coverage of everything that had to do with ICJ. To the point where some of us were ICJ fatigued, right? But it is important in the sense that we now get an opportunity to go before the World Court and have that panel or that bench of esteemed judges decide what happens in terms of the Belize-Guatemala territorial dispute. And we're still perhaps a few years away from the actual adjudication process and the subsequent decision. However, getting to where we are has been a milestone in terms of the campaigns that went into the yes and the no vote, right? In terms of everything that happened from a legal perspective leading up to the ICJ vote. Remember, it was initially set for April 10th, and then it was moved to May 8th because of legal challenges brought before the high courts. And so that was one of those moments, right? Granted, there has since been a lull, and that was to be expected because now we're in the preparatory stage going forward. But you would remember, it's fresh, still fresh, right? You would recall that sense of, how do I find that word? perhaps-
Divisiveness.
yeah.
Yeah.
But there was also an anxiety that came along with it.
Yeah.
How will the country vote?
Yeah.
Do we go yes, and these are the potential ramifications of going yes? Do we go no, and these are what the consequences would be if we decide not to go? And then, so it just kind of hung in the air, in
Yeah.
that sense of suspense, you know?
Yeah.
So,
You are so right. You know, I think in reflecting on the year of the different stories we've covered, and this is definitely clearly the most important because
Yeah.
of the historic value of it. And, you know, keeping in theme with reflection, I think at that moment, the most challenging part of providing coverage or just kind of paying attention to the public discourse was the level of divisiveness.
Yeah.
And it was really hard because some people got really nasty about it. Some people, you know, were so clear in their position, they couldn't hear anything else.
Yeah.
And so often in the show that we were doing, there really was no right or wrong. It was just giving people the decisions, the information to make the best informed decision. And I remember in that time just thinking, man, look at just how people are going at each other nonstop. And they're so, you know, how are we going to heal after this? And then reflecting at the end of the year, I think the one thing that can be, no, there's several takeaways from it. But the one that stands out to me is that for at least half a year, and it started the year before, Belizeans were talking about or history.
Yeah.
We were talking about what becomes a part of our identity, kind of building this national pride. I mean, you couldn't go anywhere and not hear a conversation about the upcoming vote in the referendum, and even for a bit of time after. So I think for me, the silver lining in that one, after we saw quite a bit of the divisiveness, is just that the attention was all on this country. And you saw whether you were a yes or whether you were a no, there was just a passion for what you wanted to see for your homeland. And I think that's a great thing that we saw in 2019 with the reflection on the referendum.
for me, the way I look at it, either way, it reflected a strong sense of nationalism.
Yeah.
Because as you mentioned, while yes, it was controversial and divisive,
Yeah.
people were staunch in their political views. And I say political not from a partisan point of view, but it is at heart a political matter. And so people were very, very firm in saying yes or firm in saying no. And their convictions led them, if nothing else, to do some research or learn the history of this entire,
that was like a crash course in history. It really did make me realize we don't learn enough history on this in school. I remember doing a mapping show and just diving into our news archives, and a lot of it is in paper and just going through stuff. Like it's just, and there's so much information, so much that we've covered over the years, in trying to condense it into things that would be useful. It was really, and if we felt that, definitely the viewers got a chance to see that as well, this immense history that, it's centuries old. But even more so within our recent memory, there was a lot that's taken place in terms of border-to-border conflict and attempts at resolutions. Referendum, definitely biggest story, 2019.
Easily. I think the second most covered story had to do with the William Danny Mason murder trial. There was more than enough attention given to that in terms of news reporters being present at almost every session of the Supreme Court in Belmopan as it relates to that case. And so just to quickly, again, there has not been a sentencing as yet. So that too remains pending going into the new year to see what the actual prison term these 5 individuals will face or are facing as we speak. And so
that was one of the major court rulings for this year, clearly.
Certainly.
And I think for many reasons, just clearly the crime was so unbelievable. It was a well-known character. It was the brazenness of it as well. But I also think looking at the court case itself, there was no witness. And so it was a really challenging case to present. and relying just on evidence, which in so many other cases, we know there can be challenges, and they were able to present enough to convince Justice Moore that they were guilty.
I think the Director of Public Prosecutions was extremely thorough, almost to a fault, in terms of presenting this mountain of evidence, and in terms of the amount of work that went into preparing the prosecution. You know, after a while, you began to realize that it was an airtight case in terms of, you know, presenting all of this information that suggested, I use that word loosely as well, that suggested that these individuals were in fact culpable of having committed this brazen crime, as you said. So that was second, the most covered story of 2019. And then leading up to this final Eye on the News segment, we've discussed crime and violence, we've discussed road traffic accidents, and we've discussed the prevalence of drug plane landings in the country, right? So those are also, you know, some of the major things that were covered this year. Now, in terms of looking ahead, Marlene, based on events that are ongoing, stuff that happened in 2019 that carry over into 2020, I know that on February 9th, 2020, the United Democratic Party will see a change in its leadership going into the 2020 general elections. And so, as we speak, we're less than a month away, well, we're just about a little over a month, sorry, before the Deputy Prime Minister, Patrick Faber, faces John Saldivar at the convention. And then there are these other posts to be filled within the party. So in the days ahead, certainly there will be a ramping up of efforts to try to get as many delegates on their side.
Well, I clearly expect that come January, there'll be a lot of coverage on this. I'd imagine the campaigns are gonna ramp up, and we're going to see quite a bit more coming out. It hasn't been without its controversy, clearly. We've seen where Honorable John Saldivar has had more people publicly supporting him. We haven't heard so much from Deputy Prime Minister Faber following his launch. And so all eyes are on what's going to take place there as they select their new leader. February is going to be here in a blink.
Speaking of which, Minister Faber was down in Punta Gorda this weekend as well. I spoke with him briefly, informally albeit. And at this point, it's about hitting the ground and trying to, you know, sell yourself to the delegates. It's a countrywide activity. And so, like I said, leading up to 2020, February 9th, it's going to be interesting. It's also an election year, so we have to put that, you know, that is sort of like the microcosm, and then the general elections is the larger whole. And so that's what we're going to be dealing with next year.
Oh, yes, it's going to be very busy. You know, I was thinking, though, I wonder how delegates, because it's a party decision. It's people who are members of the party. How do delegates choose who's going to be their leader? What are some of, you know, in a general elections, for example, or in a municipal elections, people are looking at what people can be able to do, manifestos, and who they have more hope in as someone who can carry forward with the leadership. But I wonder what goes into what a delegate thinks of when they're making this decision.
That would be interesting to find out. There's a perception that the vote of the delegate is led perhaps by the area representative or the standard bearer.
That's what I wonder.
Or what have you.
Do you vote in line with who your area representative represents? This is a question I don't know. I've never participated in one of these elections, but because I'm also thinking that looking back on this year, both Minister Faber and Minister Saldivar hold very important portfolios. You know, we've been talking about crime, and national security is the head for that. Education is always, in fact, we have a conversation lined up with BNTU today, is always a pertinent issue. So, you know, if I'm a delegate, am I looking at things like that, or is it kind of just looking more internally with the party?
Well, I was told informally that the constitution of the United Democratic Party in this case
Yeah.
speaks to the idea of the democratic vote to begin with, that you would be able to think for yourself and act accordingly.
Yeah.
But it's not to say that there aren't certain abiding expectations from the standard bearer, the area representative, or the person in that particular constituency that says, okay, well, if I am, for instance, Team Saldivar, that you guys need to fall in line in terms of providing that support. But like I said, informally, I've been told that, you know, you're responsible for your own vote, essentially, in terms of what you deem to be the better of the two options.
But the area representatives select a delegate.
I'm not quite certain.
Okay. Well, these are things that we will clearly look at.
I presume that, in fact, they are.
Yeah.
But I stand to be corrected if it isn't so.
So we'll definitely be having more coverage on this as we start off 2020, looking at the new leader of the United Democratic Party and await to see when the next general election will be, most likely before the end of the year.
And the Prime Minister's departure as well, when he chooses to, if he will, step down ahead of the November 2020 general elections. And of course, on the other front, the People's United Party is also expected to see some developments going into 2020 as well. Yeah. And I know that they too have been, you know, ramping up their efforts. Yeah. They've been rather outspoken on a number of issues that have been happening.
We've started to see some political ads already, one or two here or there. I think kind of just keeping issues or putting their thoughts out on issues as they arise. But definitely going to be a very interesting year ahead. Yeah. And I mean, we had other coverage as well, and I think that those are, like you said, we covered quite a bit of crime. We saw some the issues of people going missing and turning up dead. We had some outstanding missing persons still haven't been found. Just, you know, you're out in the field every day. What was your favorite story to cover?
Whoa, that's a good question.
Or your favorite for 2019?
My favorite for 2019. Hands down, I said it's the ICJ one. Like,
really?
We did the tour prior to.
Yeah. Oh, when you went out into the field.
And I've always been a field person. Like I loathe having to sit behind a desk all day. So getting out there, going to Sarstoon again, going to Halakte, going to all these other places, and getting a sense of what people are thinking and how people feel, whether they're apathetic or whether they're, you know, strong in one direction or the other. Being on the ground, you get that vibe. That to me was the best experience for 2019 from a journalist's point of view. Right?
I thought it was going to be your Machakila story.
There's that. So that's what I'm saying. There are so many others. I mean, hands down, visiting Machakilha, it was the first time I've been there. And hiking through the forest at night was pretty cool. Riding horseback to get in. So that
and
was
more
cool.
importantly, I mean, like,
literally,
it was walking a day,
Yeah.
walking in the shoes of these students for the day. That was always, in fact, we had that. We had the Graham Creek story as well, looking at what the teachers go through. And then you gave the perspective of students traveling for PSC, waking up at, what time was it? It
like
was
2 or 3 in the morning.
To walk into another village. So
that was an eye-opening experience.
Absolutely. And really bringing perspectives from all over the country. So it was a lot of work to be able to decide which stories would be included in our 2019 year in review. But we made the decision. It's been put forward, and it premiered on Friday. But you can catch it again tomorrow night at 8 o'clock right here on this station. And it's already on Facebook. So you can find it on our News 5 Facebook page and check that out. And, you know, tell us what your favorite story for 2019 was. Right?
Yeah, so that concludes our Eye on the News for today.
All right, and before we get into our show for today, speaking of recapping 2019, you know, we can hit some of the lighter stuff as well. Talking about trends for 2019.
We're
What
talking-
is your favorite trend? Whatever trend you can think
Because
of.
I was about to ask if we're talking fashion trends, we're
I
talking,
don't know.
stuff that we say that becomes trendy, that sort of
Yeah.
stuff. I don't have, like, for some reason or the other, I would want to pride myself as a trendsetter or someone that stands apart from everything else that's going in one direction.
Yeah.
As far as being able to dress and carry myself a certain kind of way. So that I won't say that for the most part, I've been following all these changes and stuff that people gravitate to. If it's a major trend, you can't escape having noticed what's
Yeah.
taking place. But in terms of that, I don't know. I move in my own lane.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to think of trends on the spot unless you really do. I don't. I think naturally when you say trends, people think fashion.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be able to comment on that one. So I don't know. I don't think I can think of a favorite trend.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you do at home. Maybe there's something that started this year that you really enjoyed, and go ahead and chime in. Of course, you can share it with us on your Facebook page, on our Facebook page, on our Instagram. Let us know your thoughts, and we'll share them on our page, right?
Yep.
And now it's time to move into our show for today.
We have a two-part conversation this morning with representatives of the Belize National Teachers Union, as they too provide an update as to where the union is insofar as some of the things that it has been clamoring for on behalf of teachers. So that is segments 1 and 2.
That's right, and we're closing off, well, this is a trend, looking at wigs from Posh Hair Studio. So they're going to talk about new hair selections and new wigs that are available. All right. So that's what we have lined up. We'll fix you up, Isana, don't you worry. We're going to take that break, and when we come back, we'll get right into the show. But before we do, we got that birthday shout out. We're saying happy birthday to
Emerson McCoy. Happy birthday, Emerson.
All right, do enjoy your day from all of us here at Channel 5 and open your eyes. All right, we'll take that break and we'll be back in a few.
With over 100 years of service excellence in
And welcome back. As we mentioned prior to the commercial break, we are moving into a two-part conversation this morning. We have been joined on set by the president of the Belize National Teachers Union, and that is Senator Elena Smith, and of course, the vice president. He's no stranger to all things union. Good morning. Good morning, my good friend Luke.
Good morning, Zadi.
This is a broad conversation we're about to embark upon in terms of the state of affairs regarding teachers and unionism, and of course the relationship between the BNTU and of course the government of Belize. Now, I understand that there was a meeting held on December 9th with the Ministry of Education, and if I'm not mistaken, I'm getting the vibe that you sort of walked into that meeting blindly in terms of what was on the table and what was to have been the outcome of that discussion. What was the meeting about, and what were the points being discussed?
Okay, so blindly in terms of we weren't aware of what the wording would have been and how many amendments would have been placed before us.
Yeah.
We knew ahead of time that they would have been doing some amendments, and so we were told that one would have been on the vacation period and one would have been on the contracts. So those we were aware of. We were told 4, and then when we got there, we got the document and it said 3. So again, in terms of the wording, we weren't sure what it is that they were going to be changing, what they wanted to amend, but we knew that what were going to be the areas to be amended. And so that meeting on the Monday was to present to us the proposed amendments to the rules.
Yeah. So let's just dive right in and find out what is being proposed.
Okay, so as I said, we focused on 3 amendments. The first dealt with emergency vacancies, the second dealt with the vacation period, and then the third dealt with the contracts. And so, but Luke will discuss with you the vacancies, emergency vacancies.
Okay, good morning again, and thank you for having us this morning. When we look at the amendments, first we need to point out to the nation that whenever the Ministry of Education, and in particular and the government of Belize in general, invites you to a consultation, obviously it is not a consultation. It's just to inform you that these are the things that we have decided, and so we are informing you. And the other issue we've had with the ministry over these years, these past few years, is that the ministry has an issue with the way the BNTU organizes and operates in terms of ensuring that if we are to reach agreement on any issue, there will be times, most times in fact, that we have to consult with our membership, because they are the ones who give us our mandate and how we operate. And the ministry's criticism has always been that BNTU goes through a long, drawn-out process before they agree on anything. And I can understand their frustration, because it would seem that basically they wake up one morning and decide, look, this is not working, or we want to change this, we're going to change it, and nobody should stand in the way. In relation to the emergency vacancies, the education rules are clear on how vacancies are filled. They are saying that in the case of emergency vacancies, one of the things they want to do is to waiver the recruitment and selection process, which basically means that when somebody applies to become a teacher, there are certain things that he or she must have. You know, the one, of course, a valid license, which means it could be a special license, a provisional license, or a full license. You must have the necessary qualification at the level that you are applying to teach in. And the other things, of course, your police record and all of these things. So they are saying in this matter of this emergency vacancy, they are prepared to waiver those things. Our concern when it comes to that is, are we opening a door there now for cronyism, nepotism, and for paternalism, for people to be given something as a reward? Because if we are looking at just basically you having a license, we are not going to do any interview, because all of those make up a part of the selection process, then we are concerned. Because if at the end of the day, and these emergency vacancies, somebody can be employed under that particular amendment for up to 3 months. If we were to end up with someone who does not have those requisite qualifications as such. And the students in that particular, or under the tutelage of that particular teacher, performs miserably. You will hear that the teacher not perform, that the teacher for blame. And so we are a bit concerned about that.
Yeah.
The idea behind the amendment is good.
Well, that's the question I have. Looking at this issue, I want to hear from you. Have there been examples in any part of the country where they've been unable to fill a position in an emergency? Why this is necessary?
Well, I don't know that, I can't come to a specific example.
Yeah.
But what has happened is that, yes, a teacher may have to proceed on sick leave.
Yeah.
A teacher may have, might resign in the middle of a school year or a school term. A teacher may go on interdiction if he commits a crime,
Yeah.
a major offense. So in those instances, yes, that can occur.
Yeah. But is there a challenge in filling the position? That's my question.
I don't think that there is a challenge necessarily. What this is trying to do is to say that in the shortest possible time, they would want somebody to replace the teacher so affected.
But you're not just saying somebody, you're saying not necessarily a licensed teacher. That's what the new amendment,
No, it
the
has
new,
to, I think one would have to be the licensed teacher. The other things, the recruitment and selection process, where you go through
Okay.
an interview and then you have to submit to the Teaching Service Commission, that whole process. They're saying that they are prepared to waiver that.
Which your concern is that it opens a certain gate or a
it
door.
can be an appointed,
Yeah, you know.
Select who you want. And we were looking at the case right now of the principal at Julian Cho.
Julian Cho.
And we're having that issue. Would that then fall under this? And so is it possible that the person who they would want to have that position can then be given that position via this clause?
yeah.
So, and then one of the other issues too, Marlene, is that when we have these teachers who are hired on these short-term basis, we have had issues with them not being able to get their salaries. So they might complete the entire 3-month period
Yeah.
and still waiting for salary because of the process, or they are hired because it's an emergency, and then the commission might say, well, you know what, the documents were received late, and so your payment will be given to you just based on the time that we received the documents, and so not necessarily the time when you began teaching. So a few issues, that we do have in terms of those short-term vacancies, the emergency vacancies.
Have these gone into effect? Or are you still at the stage where you're sort of lobbying to have inclusions or retractions per se from the amended?
That's the question, because we were promised the final document. The minister told us at the meeting that he had with us that after the ministry had completed the drafting, that we would have seen that document before him signing it. We're still waiting, so we are unsure whether that was, well, we know it was prepared, because when I spoke to the EG, he said that they had prepared a few of them, and so we know that they were prepared. Whether the minister has signed them or not, we are not aware. We made checks. I made checks at the National Assembly where they normally keep these things, and they don't have any copies of them. They're not aware of it. So we are not sure whether he had signed these into law or not.
So your primary concern is that circumventing the vetting process can open the door to people being put in a position that maybe someone else would have been better suited for, or they would not have been suited for had they gone through the vetting process.
Yep.
So in an emergency, it's an emergency, nobody
Right.
really can know what's going to happen. And clearly children need a proper teacher in their classroom.
Correct.
So I guess my question is, or what comes to mind is there a delay that takes place? You're talking of the Julian Cho case. That's a very good example of where it's been quite some time that they've been able to fill that position. Is there another area that is falling short or working too slow or overburdened that is slowing down the process that should be fixed instead of going this route?
Well, I think that there are a number of teachers who have been employed on a temporary basis. If those persons would still be available, because then they would have gone through that
Yeah.
selection and
Yeah.
process, then I think they could call in those persons to come and fill in the vacancies. They would already have had some experience being in the classroom, sometimes replacing somebody who would have been on long leave, somebody who is on maternity leave. So I believe that there are persons out there. What this is saying, though, that this makes it open for any management to employ or fill these vacancies if the conditions are met. But the conditions they have listed at the bottom here tells you that they are going to waiver the recruitment and selection process. And our other concern or suspicion came about where we are able to sort of zero in on the Julian Cho case. At the bottom of this amendment, or at the end, it says, additionally, it must provide for a period of holding over where a principal is terminated abruptly. Well, why do we need to single that out?
Yeah.
You know, is it going to be now the norm that a management or somebody says, well, this principal needs to go, and therefore will now decide who's next? Because the rules as it relates to the principal also makes provisions for somebody to succeed a principal. It does not necessarily mean, or the rule clearly states that it's not that if you are a vice principal that you automatically become a principal, but if somebody is terminated abruptly, the natural thing or normal thing to do would have been to ask the vice principal
to hold over
until such time.
Why is this so? What brings us to this particular clause or where we are at the moment? Has there been a situation or a number of situations that have precipitated this sudden change or this particular move?
We believe, yes, that it has been that there are persons. You see, the Ministry of Education has made this effort, and a number of individuals have on their own made sure that they got the necessary qualifications to become a teacher, meaning going to school, getting your associate degree in primary ed, getting your bachelor's degree in whatever educational field, and then you're still out there without a job.
Yeah.
But the teaching profession can only accommodate so many persons at a given time. So if an opportunity were to come up for you to decide I'm going to give X, Y, or Z a break, then this could be the avenue that can be used.
How long does it take to go through the vetting process?
It basically, again, a part of it has to do with managements who are basically the persons who recommend. And if they carry out the recruitment and selection process, and then they wait a certain time to submit that information to the Teaching Service Commission, then that causes a delay. There have been instances that I know of as well that persons are employed even without the approval of the Teaching Service Commission, and then that poses another problem. So at times when we put rules in place and we don't follow the rules, then we end up with these types of problems. Because if a management is told you need, and in most instances, if somebody is to proceed on long leave, the rules are clear how early you must apply.
Yeah.
So there is no reason why.
So there's time to plan ahead.
Right.
Yes, so there should be no reason.
If it's maternity, there's time to plan ahead.
Exactly.
But of course, in an emergency, sickness, or whatever else may have taken place, you will need to fill that spot. But from an outsider, hearing these particular these suggested changes, it sounds like there is difficulty getting teachers into the classrooms immediately. And because of that sense of urgency, this is a way to get a qualified teacher into the classroom as fast as possible. Unvetted, but qualified.
And it's not necessarily not being able to find a teacher. It's the process, the advertising, the interviews, the selection process, the approval. That is what keeps back the person from being in the classroom. So
doesn't this undermine doesn't waiving the process altogether undermine the system of vetting persons to put in the classroom? And I know it's something that you guys have labored for all this time, and then now comes this that says, okay, you know what, in an emergency situation we can do away with this and just proceed with our own discretion to install someone in the classroom.
Well, it comes back to what I said earlier. Somebody woke up one morning and decided this is what we want to do. We want to change this.
Yeah.
Because in our view, there are many teachers out there, persons who have been employed for 4 or 5 years temporarily. 3 months this time, another 3 months the
Moving
other time.
around.
And, yeah, and moving them around. So those persons are out there.
That's what you call it like on an itinerant basis?
No,
Or is
it's
that
more
different?
substitute.
No, it's different. It's just
Okay.
basically filling in those vacancies
Yeah.
that would arise when somebody goes on one of these long leave, sick leave, maternity leave, study leave.
Yeah.
So persons are out there.
Yeah.
And what we need to understand here as well is that if somebody is employed temporarily during a particular school year, then those years are not counted as years for service. So there comes in another dimension.
Yeah,
And so if you have persons out there who have given you service, who are prepared to continue to give service, they don't have any sort of employment, then why not
Yeah.
make that one of the clauses that would then give some kind of assurance that, one, the person in the classroom or who is replacing whoever, because that would have caused this vacancy to arise,
Yeah.
is qualified, has some degree of experience,
Yeah.
and therefore the thing should run smoothly.
Is there any distinction made between when the vetting process will be circumvented and when it won't? In other words, for every future vacancy that comes up, will it just be that we don't go through the vetting process?
For the emergency, just for the emergency
Just for
vacancies.
emergency.
If that emergency or whatever had given rise to that emergency persists after 3 months, then you have to go through the selection process, the recruitment and selection process.
One other thing, Marlene, I think that we need to mention as well, Lucas said it earlier, the thought behind having these teachers being replaced quickly is a good one. Because we find that sometimes teachers go off, and then what happens is that the remaining teacher, for example, a primary school, you might have 3 of one level. The remaining teachers have to share up that class.
Yeah.
And
They
so the
amalgamate
children, right, so the
classes.
children lose. Or sometimes we have where the vice principal has to come in and take over the class for the month, the 2 months, depending, because you can't get a replacement teacher. So in those instances, it does help, because the students need to have a teacher there, to
Yes.
keep that continuity. But the concern, as was mentioned, is what can be done or how this can be twisted to suit situations. That is the concern.
So what is your suggestion? What have you suggested in terms of, since you've seen this suggested amendment, how can it be improved?
Well, we were not given an opportunity to make those suggestions. As a matter of fact, that meeting we had on the 9th of December was, again, we raised our concern. You brought us here to discuss these things, yet you're only giving us 1 hour. So there wasn't much room for discussion and for suggestions. And that is why we were told, well, go ahead, discuss them with your council. We will bring them back to you before they are signed. And if you have suggestions, we may look at it. But the minister made it absolutely clear that he does not have to bring this back to us before it is signed. So that is why I'm saying that consultation now means you've been informed.
Yeah.
And it ends there.
It was just a courtesy that he invited us to a meeting and he shared with us the suggested amendments.
So I get the only place I'm still confused, and forgive me for belaboring the point, because what I hear from you, Luke, based on what you explained, is that there are people who are dropping the ball and filling emergency positions, and it's not necessarily the teachers and it's not necessarily the ministry. It sounds like the management drags the feet in terms of putting forward their position, and there is an existing process on how to fill emergency vacancies. So is there a way, or should there have been a way of reinforcing the process that already exists that allows for proper vet? If it's a preschool and my child is there, I want to know that that person has been properly vetted. I'll be honest with you. If it's standard 6 and we're heading into PSC in March, I want to know that teacher is properly vetted, as if I'm a parent. So the vetting process has its purpose, but is it something that perhaps we need to go back and look at the process and see how we can strengthen that and hold people accountable, rather than going through this, okay, well, we'll skip the vetting, 3 months later we'll do it?
Well, that is why we are saying that while we understand the intention behind the amendments, we're saying because you have not provided sufficient details, or we've not discussed it to any great extent, that we are saying, look, if you as a management and the ministry, and particularly our Teaching Service Commission, would have had a bank of persons who have been employed temporarily. You
Okay.
can go to that bank and say, look, a vacancy exists at St. Joseph, for instance.
Yeah.
Mr. Cayetano was teaching there for 3 months. He's still out there without a job. Can we bring in back Mr. Cayetano to fill this vacancy if he agrees?
Because he's already been through a vetting process.
Exactly.
Okay. I hear what you're saying. So you'd prefer to have almost a bank of teachers that can be trusted, because that's what the vetting process is. Teachers that can be entrusted with children to go back into the classroom, rather than leaving it up in the air that any teacher can go in that spot.
No.
So you put forward that recommendation already, or
No, like I said, we
you've
have
just
not
had
been,
that?
we have not been given the opportunity to. But we are pointing it out now that because this amendment does not spell out that particular bit, then they can always say, yeah, we could use this as one of our conditions for persons to be employed.
We've written to them and said to them that, you know, we have concerns in these areas. So we have done that. So they know that we are concerned, you know, these are our concerns. And we are waiting to see what would be the response.
You know, and in all fairness, your experience as unionists know that any loophole later on can become an area where they say, well, it's in the education rules. And in fact, that's one of the amendments that's being made as well, looking at vacations at the end of the year. And what we're going to do is take a very quick break, and when we come back, we'll tackle that one. So please stay tuned as we continue our conversation with the Belize National Teachers Union. We'll be back in a few. Stay tuned.
With over 100 years of service excellence in Belize, the Belize Bank Limited recognizes
And we're back and we're continuing our conversation with representatives of the Belize National Teachers Union. If you're just tuning in, we are joined by President Senator Elena Smith and First Vice President Luke Palacio of the BNTU, and we're discussing recent amendments presented to the union that would change certain aspects of the education rules. And we took the first segment to look at one of those amendments, which addressed emergency leave. And now we'll be talking about the second one. And this one is a matter of concern due to the changes that are being proposed. So let me set some backdrop here. As we head into this Christmas celebration, it became apparent that the decision or what should be the Christmas holiday wasn't as clear as we thought it would be. And there were some issues with the education rules and what that dictates and what had been the practice. So that had to be corrected. And in fact, there has been a proposed amendment put forward, and I'd like to discuss that now. So tell us what is being proposed.
Correct. So as you were just said, Marlene, we have been accustomed to having a 3-week Christmas break.
That's right.
Based on the rules, this year we would have had a 2-week Christmas break.
Yeah.
And so the teachers then, when the calendar came out and the teachers saw that we're getting 2 weeks, teachers began to call in and raise concerns. And so we raised the matter with the ministry, and they have said, okay, we'll give you the 3 weeks as per normal.
Yeah.
So, but they later were told, I believe by their in-house attorney, that the memo that they sent out to say that the Christmas break would have been changed from what is in the rules to the 3 weeks was illegal, and so they had to do an amendment to cover the memo that they had sent out.
Yeah.
So for that reason then, we knew that there was going to be an amendment to the rule for Christmas break.
Yes.
Lo and behold, when we got the amendment...
So let me just be clear though. So because Christmas fell in the middle of the week, the rules currently say if it's before Wednesday,
the vacations shall begin the Monday of the previous week. Right. And then come back the first Monday in January.
Yes.
So because of the way it fell this year, it would have been 2 weeks.
It would have been 2 weeks.
Because the holiday would have been the 20th, I believe, and not the 13th.
The Monday before Christmas, right?
Exactly, the
Following
Monday
week.
before Christmas.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So school would have closed the 20th.
Yes. So given the practice of the 3 weeks, this rule has not been adhered to. How are they proposing to fix this?
So again, Marlene, that is why we keep on saying that we want the ministry personnel in particular want to be reactionary. If we've been enjoying this arrangement, despite what the rule says, for these many years, somebody woke up one morning and decided, no way, we violate the rules, so we are changing it. All they needed to do again was to say, look, from the time they sent out the school calendar in September, where they were to say to us, okay, based on rules so and so, your Christmas break will be so much weeks because of this. And I would have dealt with the matter.
Yeah.
Right? But somebody decided, we are going to please these teachers, but there's a catch. Go ahead, President.
So, and as we usually say, that oftentimes the rules that go against teachers are the ones that they find how to enforce those. Those that deal with managements, they don't enforce those. So
It's very selective.
correct. So now teachers must be punished, right? So what they did, they looked at Rule 132, and entire 132 speaks about our entire school year and the break that we have. So
Christmas and
Easter, end of school year. What they've done now, they've decided that they will revoke all of those. So 4, 5, and 6 that deals with all of the vacation periods, they would revoke those, and they would substitute that with one general rule. And that general rule says that the Christmas, Easter, and end of year vacation period shall be determined by the Chief Education Officer. And it says here officers, we only have one. Subject to sub-rule 132.2, and the annual national school calendar prepared by the ministry shall reflect the vacation periods. Now, we want to make it very clear that the purpose for doing this is that the ministry is hell-bent on getting 180 contact days per school year.
Yes.
And they have been saying to us that, you know what, Belize is the only country, or is one of the countries that has the least number of school days. And so we have to, well, the minister has said that, listen, I will make no comments about it. I want it to increase, and I will increase it. He doesn't care who says and who thinks. That is his position, and he will do so. So what we did, I had a meeting where we met with different presidents of the Caribbean Union of Teachers, the different Caribbean territories, and we looked at their school year and what it looked like. We have 38 weeks in our school year. It went from 40 to 38. Most of these islands have 39, 38 weeks similar to us. Included in those 38 or 39 weeks, they also have their public and bank holidays and the other holidays that, just as we do, your management might give you a holiday, might have a workshop here and there. So you do not meet that full 39 weeks of classes every year. Same with us, we never meet 180 days per year. Now, if we have been looking at the school year and we see where we've never met 180 days, why do we insist that we will change the entire vacation period, the entire school calendar, to ensure that we meet the 180 days? How can we meet that?
Yeah.
So one of the ways of meeting that is that the ministry now wants to look at, and they have NCE and the NCTVET councils will be looking at the school year to determine what it is that they can remove to ensure 180 contact days. And one of those things would be the days that we get to have our union meetings. And those might be cut down or removed. Management's days might be cut down or removed to ensure the 180 days.
I have two questions, right? The first one being vesting the chief education officer with this discretionary power seems to be a bit, I don't know,
Not well thought out.
Yeah, because then it would seem as if though that decision can be made at his or her will and fancy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's the first one. Secondly, how often do you guys meet as a union as to why perhaps they would be looking at cutting down or doing away with those particular days?
Well, Isane, we have to understand the reason behind wanting to cut the union days. It's about, again, it keeps being about getting back at us. Getting back at us. We can take 3 meetings for the school year, which would be 3 half days for the school year. We normally take 2 with the Toledo Rural Branch because of their the areas where they come from, right?
Yeah.
They would take the entire day. So they have 2 or 3 days for the year that they have meetings, and the other branches would have half day per term. So 3 half days, which would be about 1.5 days, and then 3 days, maximum of 3 days, minimum 1 day.
Okay, so that gives me a whole different picture. So cutting down on the union days, that really equate to 1.5 day in total.
Correct.
Is
Or
the
3.
resolution on how to meet
One
the
of it.
180 days.
One of it.
one of
Correct.
them.
Now, keeping in mind though that our days that we have for our meetings are negotiated days.
Yeah.
So doing your collective bargaining agreement, you negotiate for that, and that has been given. A lot of these Caribbean islands have that as well.
Yeah.
Now you are saying to us that despite the fact that a few years ago that was a part of a negotiated package, we want to review that and we want to take that away from you.
So basically, they're rescinding. They've waited out a few years or so, and then they're walking it back.
Right.
And what is most ironical is that all of these people in the senior management of the Ministry of Education were
officers.
beneficiaries of these arrangements that BNTU negotiated. So now, because they're sitting at the welcome table, then they are saying to us, well, you people, you need to take your lick. And I don't think our teachers are prepared to just sit down and take this. These things have been negotiated.
Yeah.
And then you are coming in one meeting to say we're going to change it. But if you had said we want to negotiate and we want to discuss these things, then it is different. When we look at the matter of 180 days, we are the only set of employees in this country that take home work overnight. We are the only set of employees that must travel with our students on weekends to activities legislated or approved by the Ministry of Education and our management. We need to take our students to sports tournaments, Festival of Arts, get home 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. Who is compensating us for that?
Fairs.
When it comes to school fairs, we're told you need to go to a school fair, you need to help raise funds, and every fund that you raise goes to the management, not in the pockets of the teachers.
And not guaranteed to go back to the school.
Correct.
They are not guaranteed to go back to the
Yeah.
school. And so now you are going to say to us 180 days. You need to be with your students for 180 days
Per year.
in a school year. So it means now then that your Christmas break may be cut short. The chief can decide your Easter break will be only Holy Thursday, Good Friday, Easter Monday.
Classes might begin in August.
Yeah.
Your summer break could be less. So instead of coming to school at the beginning of September, which the rules...
Was this indicated to be an interim fix?
No.
No.
Or this is permanent? Because
No.
I'm having a hard time being able to understand how it would be a logical solution to leave a personality in charge on deciding the academic school year each
Every
year.
year.
So there's no predictability that one can have in what the school year would be,
Correct.
because according to what is being proposed, the chief education officer would decide that. And I want to be clear, you know, Dr. Bab may be very well equipped to be able to do this and to be predictable in it, but when you put a position and not a, when you put a personality in charge, there's no guarantee next year who the education officer may be, or
Right.
10 years from now who the education officer may be, and whether they will make these schedules based on what is best for the students and the teachers. So putting such a personality-driven decision in the education rules, I can see your concern.
It's the same as where we keep on seeing where the minister has the discretion.
Yeah.
No difference.
Yeah.
So depending on who goes there and what kind of mood you're in for this air,
Yeah.
then you can set it this way. And what has been happening is that the ministry is now, they are now banking on parents, because we have parents on these boards and committees who will be sitting down to look at these 180 days and how
Yeah.
we get them. So they are banking on those parents saying to us, well, listen, why you have to have a meeting on a school day? Why must my child lose out a day because you want to have a meeting? Why can't you meet on a Saturday or a Sunday? And that is now what parents are now bringing to the table. And so that is the angle they are taking, why we should not have these days for meetings.
Yeah, but
Which other
conversely-
days are lost over the 100? I mean, I have to be clear too. We in Belize have a lot of holidays, and people are gonna be mad just saying that, but we do have a lot of holidays in Belize, public and bank holidays in Belize. So those already cut into the schedule
Right.
of the 180 days.
As all of these other Caribbean islands as well.
Yeah, yeah. What other days would be taken away?
Well, you have the managements have up to 3 days that they can use. So for example, if we're having a school fair, Nature's Fair,
Usually
we get the
Monday
off.
to
That-
clean up.
Right.
Yeah.
And some of those have been stopped.
Okay.
They don't do them anymore. You have things like 20,000 strong that our
You're
children go to. You have things
So
where
the children were told to go to 20,000 strong. That was a subtracted day from school.
you have where there's a election coming up and you have to go and parade through the streets, and they pull the children out to go and have the bands beating behind them to go to Mahogany Street. I mean, not all of these things. When the ministry has something, the ministry would call the children out as well. You know, they're having something, they want children to come and perform, they call them out. But they are focusing on what the union is doing and then trying to make it seem as if though, oh, managements too. The focus is on the union, not really management.
Yeah.
So
So management gets 3 days for the school
3
year.
days for the school year.
The unions get 1.5,
Up to 3.
up to 3.
Right.
But you've used traditionally 1.5.
And sometimes a 1, because some branches don't normally have 1 meeting per term. You'd have maybe 2.
Yeah. And the concern is still how you will meet the 180 days.
You have your feast days that would fall under management,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
as well.
So what's the average days that you would say a school is getting right now?
We've estimated what 170.
76, some
Okay,
of them
176.
176, some 174. It depends.
Okay.
It depends, because depending on some areas, you know, where you are.
Let me ask
Has
now
there
the general
ever been-
question.
Go ahead.
Let me ask the general question. What difference does it make in terms of 174, for argument's sake, versus 180 contact days in terms of the output, in terms of the
Yeah.
quality of service?
Yeah.
What difference does it make?
Very valid question. Very valid question. And that is what we've been saying to them. As a matter of fact, our experience in most of during the school year is particularly for students who have an exam at the end of a school term.
Once that is done.
Once that is done, you won't see them
That's
in
it.
school again. Once the students would have sat the PSE, that number goes down drastically. At the end of the school year, basically the same thing. Either parents would have already decided, myself and my children were going on vacation because you're only going to school to waste time. Right? Who is there to monitor that?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
ministry is not there.
Yeah.
But we who are in the classroom, we are aware of these things. But what can we do? Can we say to a parent, you can't take your child out of here, and then they go to somebody else higher up and they say, no man, don't take a PSE, don't sit the final exam, you could go. Right? So it doesn't make much of a difference.
But the change too will also affect parents, you know.
Yeah.
Because parents like to plan ahead of time.
Yeah.
And so you want to plan your Christmas break, your end of year break, take your children away, that kind of thing. So it's not only going to affect us as teachers, it's going to affect our parents as well.
Senator, can I say this?
But I want to make a clarification here. So the Easter break was very clearly defined.
Right.
It was the Monday before Holy Thursday and the Monday after Easter Monday. It's clearly 2 weeks.
Right.
And that has been rescinded. That's been
Yes.
taken out.
Right.
To go towards the
Chief.
chief education officer, whoever that may
Determines.
be, deciding the Easter break.
The end of your vacation was also well articulated.
Right. You
It
are
ends
July.
with the Friday.
The last
Last
Friday in June.
That was also well articulated. The issue there,
Why would
again,
these that didn't have any unclear?
the issue had
date?
to do with the error they made, if they want to call it an error, in sending out an official document saying that the Christmas break will be 3 weeks. If they had dealt with what is in the 2000 rules that says when Christmas falls on a certain date, this will be your Christmas vacation period, there would have been no fight. But they are using that under the guise to increase the number of school days. That is all that this is intended to
Because
do.
they are saying that the teachers were the ones who wanted the 3 weeks, and so we gave that 3 weeks to you, but we have to ensure that you have 180 days, contact days. And contact days for them mean that the teacher must be with the students.
Now, let me ask this again now. So this has essentially been forced down your throats, in a manner of speaking. You went to this meeting December 9th and you were presented with this. What are you planning to do in terms of either challenging what is there, sitting down and negotiating for something more amenable between both parties as it regards to these issues? What is next?
Well, as I said, Isani, we wrote to them and we made our concerns. And we made it very clear that they were acting in bad faith. Because the purpose for this amendment would have been to address the Christmas break, the 3 weeks, the memo that they sent out. It wasn't for them to review everything. So they have been very disingenuous with us in terms of this rule. And so we've pointed out all of those concerns. And we are waiting now to see what would be their response. And whether we don't, as I said, we don't even know if this has been signed already. We are not sure whether it has been signed because we have not seen that final copy as was promised to us.
Yeah.
But if it is that this has been signed into law, and this is what is going to be from now on, then this is going to create some problems. And as unions, we don't normally put out our plans, but I will tell you this, that our teachers are not happy right now. And so 2020 is going to be an interesting year.
What is your recommendation? I mean, clearly, I can hear your concerns. You know, just having a personality decide each year what the schedule for the school will be. I don't understand the logic behind it. But you put forward your concern about that. Have you made a suggestion as to what you would prefer?
No, we've not, as Luke said, we've not had the chance to really sit down because we had a 1 hour meeting. Imagine 1 hour to go through these 3 amendments and 3 crucial amendments to our teachers. So we've not had that opportunity to say to them, you know, this is how we think that it can work out. But we have been looking at the school year, and we've been looking at the fact that August teachers are on call. And so we have been saying, you know, among our leaders that, listen, there has to be some give and take at some point in time.
Yes.
So if we want about 3 weeks for Christmas,
Start earlier.
right, we might have to look at some other ways of putting back those days. We might. We're not saying that that is going to be, that has to be the final thing. But we have to have that discussion with our members and see, you know, what it is that we can agree to as members. How is it that we are going to work this out to ensure that we get the breaks that that we want to get based on rules, and that we give our students what they deserve as well. Because the ministry always puts it to the public that, oh, we don't care about the children and the children must come first and we think about it. That is not so. Come on, if teachers didn't care about children, we would not be doing all that we have been doing. Teaching is not about the pay, because you don't get paid to do what you do. So people who are talking about, oh, you get so much holiday and you get good pay where? A driver gets more than we get, and we work so hard. Yeah. I mean, all of these things, and we have to put so much money into our classrooms every year. And there's never where you see the ministry coming down on managements to say, you must provide the teachers with all of these supplies.
Yeah.
Will they now start to give us back? Because, listen, we like to copy things from other places, you know. Some of these places, these teachers spend on their classrooms, and they bring in their receipts, and they get back what they spend from the school boards. We don't do that here, but we want to ensure that, oh, Jamaica has this, and Trinidad has this, and that. Let us copy that. So we want to copy everything fully without looking at the implications of copying these things.
That's a matter of convenience too, right? What works for them and what doesn't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And as you spoke earlier, we spoke about, you know, how would that affect PAC, BJAT, all of these things. Again, we have found that whenever we had to extend the school year because of whatever, it's hurricane, well, we don't do for hurricane, but if we have to extend the school year for whatever reason, it becomes meaningless because the children don't come to school. And so, and even those who come, they're not in school mode.
Yeah.
And so you have to be fighting to discipline them, to get them to sit and to focus. And so you don't get anything much done anyway. So I don't know how it is that the ministry can think that you will keep a child a week longer in school, Christmas, Easter, and they will function the way they normally would.
But has the union, I mean, clearly this is an effort that the minister and the ministry is going to be working towards. Have you started to come up with potential compromises or solutions that you would put forward as to how to meet the 180 days of contact? Keeping your 1.5-year meetings, keeping the taking into consideration all the vacation, all the holidays that we have. What would you, I mean, have you come up with solutions? Because it's, you are also a part of the equation.
Right.
Yeah. You see, what Marlene, the thing is this, that when a union, the principle in unionism, and when you negotiate a certain benefit, you don't give that up.
Yeah.
So what they are trying to take away, it was the BNTU and the government at the time negotiated for the 38 weeks of school.
Yeah.
How is it now that a minister can come who has enjoyed these benefits over these years and say, I'm going to rescind that and I'm not going to have any negotiations with you people? We also need to bear in mind that the principle behind respect and the principle behind good industrial relations dictate that this should not happen. The many public and bank holidays that we have in our country is not given to, it's not the teachers who gave them.
Yeah.
It's there from time immemorial.
Yeah.
The matter of if the ministry and the government of Belize by extension wants to support this 108 and increase the number of school days, our members will also have to say, well, good, what can we hold back?
It's like going back to the
What can we
negotiating
hold
table.
back? Can we decide we're not going to any more school fairs? Can we decide we're not traveling with the kids to tournaments?
No Saturday classes.
No Saturday classes, no extra classes, and then you'll hear you say the teachers
What
again.
they mean.
Again, we are making the point, we are emphasizing that our teachers continue to go beyond the call of duty to do what they are doing for our children.
Yeah.
And we need that recognition. We're not asking for anything more. For instance, right now, you notice how long we have been in negotiations with government for a collective bargaining agreement. One issue is holding it back. The matter of our teachers at the grant-aided secondary schools.
Yeah.
And coincidentally again, some of the persons in the leadership in ministry right now, if they had remained in the classroom, they would have been affected by that same rule. But it no longer affects them.
Yeah.
And we, as the union, will have to be that body or group of persons who will have to bring this to public attention and public notice. We are saying we are human beings too. Don't try and treat us as a different class or a different entity, because then our teachers, knowing who we are, knowing who BNTU is, we are becoming very restive. We are getting tired of this. It seems as if though we are the ones running behind the ministry to say, please listen to us. And there they are telling us, you just go away because we're going to do what we want to do. And at some point it will have to break.
And they cannot say that we have not been trying to work with them in terms of the partnership that they speak about.
Yeah.
Because we have been doing that.
Yeah.
But there comes a time, when you can't take anymore. And you have to do things that will then get the type of response that you need to get. And we need to get that response from them, and we're not getting it. So
let me be clear on, or let us be clear on where we are today. You said the meeting on December 9th took place. You were told to put forward your concerns or issues with the proposed amendment. You would, or you may get a copy of the final rules before they were signed into effect. We do not know if that's taken place so far, right?
correct.
So what happens next? It's a wait and see moment?
Well, as I said, holiday just over. So we know it's first now to check and see what response we've received from them, if any. And then based on that response, then we will determine what our next move will be.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for updating us. The third amendment was on contracts. We didn't get a chance to run through that, but we will, of course, continue this conversation another time. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for
Thank you
having
too.
us.
We're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll be talking about brand new wins for the new year. Stay tuned.
And welcome back to the final segment of our show this morning. It's a departure from a heavier topic earlier, and we're going into hair and wigs, Marlene.
Yes.
With us on set this morning, we have the owner of Posh Hair Studio, Kimberlyn Vernon.
Welcome back.
And welcome back. And we have Monife Solf, who is a beauty consultant.
Monifa.
Monifa, hi,
Monifa, I'm
good
sorry,
morning.
Monifa
Okay, so today is actually going to be a very important segment. It's a how-to segment.
Right.
So it's not just about picking out a wig that you would want to wear. It's about how to do it right.
Correct.
Okay. So Kimberlyn, you have seen many mistakes, I'm sure, over time, right?
Yes.
What's like the #1 cardinal rule you'll tell people? Yeah, you buy a nice wig, but they put it on and
Doesn't look right.
yeah.
Right. So during the Christmas, I've seen a lot of people purchasing wigs, but one mistake that they do that I would love to correct is the lump in the wig.
The lump in the front.
Yeah, the lump at the front of the
Yeah.
wig. And so that's very important because when installing your wig, you want it to look as natural as possible.
Absolutely.
All right? So we have this wig here today, and this is what we'll be installing on our friend Latoya.
Hi.
So we already did the first part of the installation.
Okay.
And this is quite the hardest part because you just needed everything, you need everything to lay it properly.
Okay.
And you also need, this is the base.
Yes.
All right. So what I did
So you've
was
already
that-
glued?
Yeah. So what I did was that I found a cap that matches the scalp of her skin.
Okay.
And I applied the glue just to mince the lace into the skin.
Okay.
All right.
So this is just, you put the glue just in front?
Yeah.
Or all around?
Actually, what I did was that I sprayed the got-to-be glue.
Okay.
Yeah, over the cup and ensure that it was dried properly. And after drying, then I cut off the excess piece from the front of the cap.
Okay.
All right. So after that, I installed the cap with the glue.
Okay.
Just to hold down the cap properly so that
Especially
the
in
wig
front,
doesn't
yeah.
slip back way.
Yeah.
All right. So after that now, what I do is that we're going to install the wig now. When installing the wig, first of all, you need to cut off the lace.
Okay.
And we did that already. I just want to show you that quickly. So we did that already.
Yeah.
And when I cut the lace, I try to cut at least, let me see. I leave a little extra piece just so that the lace can actually seep right into the skin.
Yeah.
All right.
So you want to leave, I mean, you have like maybe a centimeter?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
very, very little left there.
Correct.
Okay.
correct. So what I do now is that after cutting the lace off, I would install a band. Now the band is just extra security.
Oh, you
alright?
put that in?
Yes, I installed the band because then if the glue is to get removed, you know, after the party and the dancing, you would get really sweaty and
Yeah.
it might start to lift.
Okay.
So this is an extra security to keep the wig very secured.
Okay.
So I would sew the band from the ear to the next ear. And after securing the band, then I just install the wig. I'll put the band at the back and I'll bring the wig to the front.
Okay. That's
Okay.
such a cute wig.
And then I will level the front of the wig to measuring it to the cap so that it looks very natural. Please ensure that the cap is
Completely covered.
Yeah, correct. And after this, if you notice, the wig has that little lump at the top. And that's what we want to remove, all right? So it looks really pretty right now.
Yeah.
But then we also want to remove the lump from the top of the wig so
Right
it looks
here.
very natural. First of all, we're going to color the lace at the center. And I will color it with a foundation or a concealer that is the color of her scalp.
So you want to match her skin complexion.
Correct, exactly.
So even though the cap is as close to her skin complexion and the wig itself has a sheer color,
right.
you still put in that brown just so it looks more natural.
Correct. And then
Okay.
the great thing about some of the wigs, they already come pre-plucked.
Okay.
So you don't have to do a lot of plucking. It comes
Yeah.
very natural, so
Yeah.
it's just to install
Yeah.
immediately. Now this is my She Balm wax that I use.
Okay.
This is used for natural hair and it's also used for wig installation.
Okay.
This is what I use to take down to keep down the flare. All those hair that is sticking up and So this is what I'll do. I'll stick it to the front, paste it this side, and then I will take the one curl and I'll just press it into the hair just so that it goes very flat, nice and neat.
To the top.
Yeah, correct.
That's interesting.
It also gives it a sheen too.
Yes, yes. Yeah, so we don't have any flare. And thereafter, I'll add my wig shine, spray one amount in my hands, and then voila, good to go.
Quite the transformation, right?
Yeah. So it looks very natural now,
Yeah.
looks very healthy. And this is one of our 100% human hair bob wig.
Okay.
And this is the in haircut right now, that shoulder length.
Yeah. This is like the work look or a party look.
Yeah.
You could use it for whatever occasion.
Yeah.
It just depends on the individual because a lot of people don't like a lot of hair.
Yeah.
Some people, they like medium.
Well, some people like a lot.
And some people like a lot of hair.
Yeah.
Right. So, yes, and this is the final look.
There
and
you
that's
go.
it, right?
So
And then-
let's recap these tips that you said. First of all, you put the spray glue before you put on the cap.
Correct.
So that the cap itself stays snug.
Right. And then after applying that spray to the hair, you will apply the spray over the cap.
As
just
well.
to have extra security.
Okay.
And
And
extra
then
hold.
You put the glue in the front of the cap.
Right.
And also trimmed off any excess, so
Right.
it's as flush to the skin as possible.
Correct. And so it removes that that tension from the head.
Yeah.
Because you know the cap comes with an
It comes with extra elastic band.
So that's to remove the tension from the forehead.
Yeah.
All
And
right?
that's also a bit darker in terms of the rest of the color of the cap
Correct.
as well.
Because
Now-
then it blends in properly too. Because
Yeah.
then you would see a lump.
Yeah.
If we keep that, right?
And then on the wig itself, you cut off the front, the lace in the front.
Correct.
And you install a band
Yes.
to the back. So that holds it snugly to the back of the head as well.
Right.
All right. And you color. You try to match your color, your complexion.
Yes. So
In the middle
please,
of
yeah. So they have to find the color that matches
Isani, now
the
you
skin
know
tone.
all the secrets.
Like most guys, right? So we're going to this party tonight, and then I see you all dolled up and with the long hair tonight. And then I may see you tomorrow or some other time and it's back to the short hair. You totally tripped me out.
She can change it based on her personality, whatever she
Correct.
feels like wearing, right?
And without damaging her own hair.
Absolutely.
Nice,
And that's what a lot of women like, that they can be able to change up their look without putting any heat to their hair, without doing anything extra to it.
And it keeps you warm as well, especially in the cold season. So this is the perfect climate
And
for
you
wigs.
can change your color without damaging your hair, like you are. All right. So that's the example of applying the wig. Now
Right.
let's talk about some of the in styles right now.
Okay, so we have Monifa here, and she's
Yeah.
a beauty consultant, and she will give you previews
Is this
of what we
popular
have
right
in
now,
store.
this bob?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that and the wet and wavy.
Okay.
Yeah, and human hair, 100% human hair.
Of course.
Everybody wants to invest in their human hair. You
Yeah.
know, it's like a gift or a treat.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And it lasts really long, so
Yeah.
it's a good investment.
All right.
Okay, so what is back in right now is the
Long ponytail.
tail with a bang,
Oh, with bangs.
with bangs.
Oh. And this one is just the ponytail.
Yes.
It's just
Yeah.
a ponytail along with the bangs attached on.
Oh, no.
Right. And then we have some as well that comes separate from the bangs.
Okay.
Okay, so you can wear it with the bang if you like.
Yeah.
Or you can wear it just with the ponytail.
So you can choose which look you want.
Yes. All right.
All right,
And-
what else do we got?
Okay, right now we have our new stock includes colorful weave
Oh, it's pretty.
that are human hair, so you can switch up the color. You either get it the color you want, or and change it afterwards to the black or any color that you choose. They come in many colors, so you can choose.
Right. And then if you choose to color it black, you can also reverse it with a different color. Because it's 100% human hair. Yeah.
And what colors are you seeing people going for?
For the Christmas, they're wearing a lot of red.
Of course,
Yeah, red and teal, burgundy, gold, blonde.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are the hot colors right now.
The teal is
And then,
something to take
yeah,
in.
and then the great thing about
But
these
it looks
ones,
really fun.
yeah, the great thing about these ones is that you can also use it as fill-in.
Okay.
So she can tell you about that.
Yeah, let me see my hair.
Okay, so you can use these either 2 packs for a full head and have leave out, or you can use a closure if you don't want to leave out your hair, or if you want to leave out your hair and just give your hair a volume or a bigger body, you can use 1 pack as fill-in.
Okay.
And then
What else?
here is the ponytail, 36 inches, 32 inches, sorry.
A serious length.
Yeah.
This one comes without the bang, and it has a loose end that you wrap around, so it looks very natural.
Oh, nice. That's a long ponytail, but it's actually really stylish because most of the girls will wear it on one side. Yeah.
And then it can also flat iron and curl as well.
Yeah.
So the blended hair, they're coming out very good now. The quality is amazing. So they can take heat up to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and they can curl and flat
So you can
iron.
style it how you want it.
Right.
Excellent.
And now we have our 1 pack solution that is a great deal. You get 3 bundles in the pack along with the closure, so you don't have, if you have natural hair or you choose not to leave out your hair, you can use the closure, or you can blend your hair with the 3 bundles. And we have it in many different styles: body wave, straight, we have ocean wave, natural Brazilian wave, and many more. So you can choose which style you want, and you can blend it with your hair or use the closure that comes with the package.
Yeah. Wow. And so you can find your hair type, your hair color.
And they come in many colors too: black, burgundy, blonde.
So this is an individual thing, like you'd have clients who come in and then they have a particular texture or what have you, and then you have to go through the process of finding something that complements
their skin tone.
Yeah.
And then also, it depends on the attire that they want to wear. You know, sometimes people are getting married, or they have a party to attend, or a baby shower. So then what we do is that we try to find something that complements the event that they're attending.
So for tomorrow night, for instance, where people are getting ready for New Year's Eve parties, then you have to find something that goes with either that kind of outfit or what have you.
And then their complexion as well.
Yeah. Nice. And we also have some other stuff over here. You have the accessories.
Yes. So what happened is that we have the bamboo silicone, and this is what we use to wash the wigs with. You know, after all the partying and celebrations, everybody feel that their wigs will always look glamorous. Our natural hair doesn't even look glamorous every day. All right. So understand that when it comes to natural human hair, wigs, or any type of hair, you have to maintain that hair. And how we maintain that hair is by having a bowl of warm water. We add a little bit of silicone, and we'll show you exactly how to do it.
This one?
Yes, that way. So this is called rejuvenation. You're rejuvenating your wig.
This is beautiful.
Yeah. So this wig was bleached to T1B30. It came black, but we just added in a little bleach just to give it a little spice and color.
It looks more brown now. Yeah.
Because a lot of people, they're transitioning to colors now. They don't want to use black anymore. So this is what I do. I soak it.
So it's warm water and silicone.
Warm water and silicone.
Is this only for the curly wigs or for all?
This is for all wigs. Human hair wigs, blended wigs, crochet hair as well, any hair. So this is what I'll do. I'll soak it in, and then I will take out some of the water, but I would soak it for like about 15 minutes.
Okay.
All right? And then I will brush the wig from the bottom going up to the top.
Yeah.
Bottom going up to the top because you want to clear it out along the wig.
Actually, that's advice for any hair.
Like if you start from the top, then you're going to pull out the hair too much, all right? So this is what I'm going to do. And then voila, comes out looking really pretty. And I recommend washing your wig at least once per month. You know, it all depends on how often you use your wigs, but this is what I would recommend. And voila. And you put it on a towel to dry, or you put it out on the line to air dry.
Yeah, yeah. Can you blow dry it, or is it too
I
much
recommend
heat?
not blow drying your hair, because then you don't want to add heat to your expensive hair,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So if you're not in a hurry, then don't worry
make it
about
air dry.
Right. Leave it
because
to air
it's going to
dry.
keep the curl anyway. It's not like you have to use anything specific.
Correct.
Nice.
And this applies to any of the hair in our stores.
Yeah.
Any of the hair.
So once again, you have your first trick there. Just soak it 15 minutes in warm water along with silicone, and then you clear it out. And you're gonna have, it's gonna bring some of the shine back and the life back into it.
To the wig, and washing the wig once per month. And then when the wig dries, all you gotta do, if you're not gonna wear it, you flip it inside out. And you pack it back inside your wig bag or inside your locker storage, whichever, whatever you choose. And just, that's it. And then lastly, we usually use this to protect, to lay the wig so that if you sleep rough or anything, then remove the front of the wig does not remove easily.
You use it to sleep?
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is a
So this
sleep
is
mesh.
like, it will hold it down?
Yes, it holds down the wig pretty well, and it's very comfortable and soft. So.
So it doesn't shift in your sleep.
Right.
And this is?
The wig band. Yes, that's very important. I recommend customers to use that if they don't want to use glue.
Yeah.
So it's, if like you're using a glueless wig, then you can use the elastic band for better security, right? You don't have to worry about it falling off. And then these ones, these are the different type of cups that we have. We have dome mesh, we have frontal lace top, we have 4x4 lace top. So it depends on the type of hair that you're using. For these ones, this one, this one? The one pot solution, yes. So with the one pot solution in these, you would see it has like a 4x4 closure, all right? And so with the 4x4 closure, that's what we'll use for these.
Okay.
Okay. So that way you don't have to cut the cup any at all, because it already comes with the lace.
Ah.
All right. Yeah. So that's when you're making a wig. If you're lazy to put the hair in your own hair, then you can also make your wig.
It's not lazy, we like convenience, right?
Yeah.
So we have the stocking wig cap, and this is the same mesh wrap that you spoke about. All right, and products over here?
Yes.
These are also available at Posh?
Yes, these are available at Posh. I use this and the Chick Bond to install the wig. Like I say, I like the Chick Bond because they have Chick Bond, they have Ghost Bond. I love the Chick Bond because it's very transparent. Okay. And that's what you want with your wigs. You don't want any flake and, you know, that residue showing at the front of your wig.
And if you go through all that work, especially.
Right. So I would recommend using the Chick Bond. And I also like to use the goo. I like the goo because it's safe for your edges and it's also safe for your wigs.
Okay.
All right. So I like this. And this is the remover. So you have some customers after like 3 weeks, oh man, I want to take off the wig, but it can't come. It can't come off, so then I recommend using the wig remover. All you gotta do is spray and release. That's all. So that's quicker than having to pull off the wig and it goes with your hair, right? Yeah.
All right, and other products that are available, you sell the silicone?
Yes, we sell the silicone. We sell the silicone shampoo as well. If you want to, if it has a lot of oil, you can give it a nice shampoo before the conditioning. And I recommend washing your wig at least, like, let me see, if you just purchase your wig, don't wash it. You know, use it like a month or so, then after you can do whatever you want with it. And then you can change up the color after all. If you get bored with black.
All right, and what else do we have here?
The Adore color. So our model will be modeling a blonde wig.
Oh, okay. So that's what you're talking about, the color. You offer the colors here as well, and we're going to see some of them.
So these Adore and the Beauty Essence. Yes, so this is our first model, and she's Celine. She's rocking our 13x4 lace full blonde wig. Yes, and so if Celine decides that she wants to change the color of her hair, then she can always change the color with these Adore brands or the Essence. I love these because they have no ammonia, no peroxide, no alcohol. So it's 100% natural, so it causes no damage to her hair. Especially when her hair is bleached to like maximum 613, you definitely don't want to put too much chemical in that type of hair. All right? So a 613 hair like hers can change to any color.
Of course.
Yes.
And this is permanent dye?
They're semi-permanent.
Semi-permanent. Okay, so they're going to wash out over time.
Yes. Yes. And they wash out pretty easily if you use warm water. You just want to take them out quick.
Okay, nice.
She's looking like Marilyn Monroe,
right?
Nice.
She has that Marilyn Monroe look. So this is a nice New Year look. Okay, if you want to go bold,
Yeah.
you go bold or go home, right? And New Year's is definitely the time
That's
to
a
go
time
bold.
you can go bold with anything. Your hair, your makeup, your clothes, whatever it is.
Yes.
Let's see
the
the next model.
extravagant season.
Let's see the next model again. So this is the ponytail with the bangs that you spoke about?
Yes, this
There
is
you
the
go.
ponytail with the bangs. You basically sleek your hair up in a ponytail to the top, and the ponytail comes with an adjustable wrap in it, so you can open it and place it above your hair in the bun,
Yeah.
and just you have a ponytail. with it.
Yeah. And the awesome thing about this ponytail is that the ponytail can also be braided.
Okay.
Okay, it can be braided and then placed in a bun. All right. So if
Oh.
she doesn't want it just, out, then she
Uh-huh.
can also braid it all the way down and just wrap it around.
Okay.
All right. So she has versatility with this type of hair. And we also have this here in different colors. So if you just go in and we find the color that matches your skin tone.
Okay.
And this is Yovi.
That's so stylish, yeah. That high ponytail especially.
Yeah.
And then we got the red hair coming out. Showstopper.
Yeah. So this is
This is one of the colors in or one pack or the 2-pack weave. What she used was 2-pack of the weave, and she leaved out her hair for
So
that
that's
natural
her hair along with the colored weave.
right.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so you got that blending of black and red.
Yes, and then you can curl it as well if you want, because
Yeah.
it's 100% human hair. And then you can also use it if you like to. If you have very short hair, you can put it into a bob, or you can add it if you have that mohawk look. Then you can add it at the top, just 1 pack or half of the pack, because it comes with enough.
Yeah.
Add it at the top to
And
give
you
it
said she
volume.
only has in 2 packs.
Yeah, 2
Okay.
packs. Right. Yeah.
Nice.
And then she
You
can
like that
change
red
it back
too,
to black,
don't you? You see what it does? It transforms them, doesn't it?
and it gives them attitude.
All right, so we saw one of the curly hairs. This is another curl over here.
Yeah, so that one is called the wet and wavy wig.
The wet and wavy.
Yeah, it comes out straight like this. We have to show it because a lot of customers, they take the wig and they're calling, Mom, this is the wrong wig you sent for me.
It's
this
not
is not the
curly."
right wig. But wet and wavy wig are wigs that come straight and you need to wet it.
And they
right?
activate when they're wet.
And right, so it comes looking like this, and I know anybody's looking
They're
at
like,
this would be
what
like, "Whoa."
did I just buy?
And then look how pretty it looks.
When you wet it, it looks like that.
Yeah, that's exactly how
And it will dry like that.
and it will dry like that, and it has volume, so
Yeah.
it's really big. It has volume of 180 density.
Oh, wow.
So it's a huge hair. It's beautiful, really
Yeah.
beautiful, and the pattern of it is bohemian.
Ooh.
Yes.
And the
you can
one that
bleach
we
too as
washed
well.
to was a smaller curl?
This one is actually
Oh, no, it was
a curly wig.
Yeah.
Came curly.
Okay.
Right. So this one will stay curly.
Yeah.
That one can flat iron back straight.
Okay.
Right, so that's just the difference with it. Wet and wavy, it has the reversibility,
Yeah.
reversible,
Yeah.
you know, straight, wavy, wavy, straight.
Nice.
And then these ones, they come curly. Now that one, that's a loose
Wave.
loose deep, loose
Yeah.
wave.
Yeah.
Yes, loose wave.
Okay.
Yeah.
So-
And then you can make that straight if you like, or you can it
Curl
goes
it?
right back curly.
Nice. All right, so there's a full selection of what people can be able to get. Of course, you are located. Tell us where you're located and how people can place their orders.
We are located on 13 King Street, Belize City, and you can place your orders by messengers on Facebook or WhatsApp number, and we'll tell you what to do, and you can get your item that you want to purchase.
Right. And the awesome thing about Posh, Ms. Marlene, is that whenever you purchase anything from our store, we educate you.
Yeah.
I believe that a satisfied customer, an educated customer is a satisfied customer.
Yeah.
They know
Right.
what
So
they're purchasing
right.
and how
So
to
we
buy
try
it.
to educate our customers as much as possible about what they're getting, so that when they leave our doors, okay, I know exactly what to do.
And it's
Right.
not just about selling your product. I know that because
Right.
you always come here and you always teach us tips on product care. So you want it to last and you want it to look good on the customers
Right.
long after they've walked out of your store. So that's always great. And you have your beauty consultants who can help you choose what to wear, right?
Yes.
So people come in and you measure up their personality and what you think is going to match them.
Yes.
Yeah? So a producer over there, what would you get for her? Stephanie?
You could go with one of our one-pack solution
Uh-huh.
or a wig or
clip-ins.
clip-ins.
These ones are clip-ins.
Yeah.
And the clip-in is very easy to do.
Just to add to your hair, right?
Right.
I actually was thinking of getting her in something maybe blonde for a change for 2020. Yeah. So next time you come to the show and you see your producer, we'll see if she's rocking that blonde. All right. And any final tips? I mean, some people out there still saying, oh, I don't know. It seems like so much work. I don't know if it's going to look good on me. What do you do when you have customers like that come in?
Like, I guess you encourage them, and then like you have to make them vision themselves with the hair, and just trust the hair and it looks great.
Right. And we try them on. You get to try them on at the store.
Yeah.
So you don't walk home and go home and put on the wig and like, oh,
That's not how I want it to look.
yes. So you
Yeah.
see exactly how you will look. We do the plucking for you. Like if you purchase the wig
Yeah.
and you need someone to pluck it for you, we just pluck it out for you,
Nice.
cut off the lace. We do those extra services,
Yeah.
you know, just to help out our
So you would do
customers.
the application there too if someone asks? No, not yet.
No.
You're like,
a
I'm
lot
not
of
going,
work.
that's a lot of work. Okay, fine. So once again, you can get any of these items plus more at Posh, and they're also online, and I know you do online orders as well.
Yes.
Thank you, ladies, and thank you to our models as well.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
We're gonna go ahead and take that final break, and when we come back, we'll have our wrap up, so stay tuned.
With over 100
we're back, and just in time to wrap up the show.
Yep. I'm still taking in the whole wig thing and what all
Did we
women
kill
need to
some of the
go through.
mystique for you?
Well, I've learned a thing or two.
Yeah.
Right? And so that I can appreciate the amount of time and effort that women put in to, add that extra oomph and beauty.
Well, we started off the show talking about trends and definitely ended with talking about some of the trends. I know a lot of girls who are rocking their natural hair who want to shift things up and they don't want to color treat. They don't want to put heat on their hair, and this is a great option for them. And so they've really been able to explore what all they can do with their personality with wigs. So Posh has really stepped in and helped a lot of girls find a look that works for them. And that was just a very small sample of what they have available. So check them out. They're online, and you can do your orders online, or you can go to their store as well. We also want to say thank you to the BNTU for coming in and giving us that update. Teachers are still on break, kids are still at home, but nonetheless, the work continues. And, I can hear the reasons for some of the concerns that they're having, and it's a wait and see to see whether there will be any further conversation.
It's sort of unfortunate based on what the union has put forward that there really wasn't a true consultation process as opposed to, attending a meeting where things are already presented in a manner where they expect it to be the outcome. Yeah.
All right. So, of course, we'll keep on following that and keep you updated as well. But that's all the time we have for today. Remember, if you want to contact us, send us an email at oye@channel5belize.com. Drop me a line at marlene_oye@channel5belize.com. Find us on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ and on Instagram at OYEBelize. And remember to tune in tomorrow morning at 6:30 when you open your eyes.
Start your morning right.
Until then, keep your eyes, your mind,
and your hearts open.
We'll see you soon. Enjoy your day, Belize.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.